Coach.
Good evening. How we doing?
Oh, I'm doing well. I'm doing well. How you feeling?
Doing great, Cam.
Um, Tom Telesco talked about how exciting it was to have everybody, the scouts and coaches, in the war room, if you will. How was that process for you?
Yeah, we were excited. Today's the culmination of a lot of work, a lot of preparation, kind of our personnel department, our coaching staff, sports performance, our ownership all coming together, being a team and getting a chance to compete together. So there's so much work that goes into this. And, tonight is just a great expression of all that hard work. And we're certainly excited about our pick tonight and, just so thankful for all those people for making tonight possible.
You've been high on smarts and high football IQ since we've been talking to you. What what was it about Rashaan that showed you he had that those smarts and that high football IQ, and he would be a good part of this team?
It's just a high level of production at a program we really respect. Pat Fitzgerald, we feel like he's one of the elite coaches in the country, an outstanding program, playing in an outstanding league against a lot of quality players. Just felt like Rashaan fits all the characteristics of a player that we're looking for, and then all the position, critical factors for being a tackle in this league, a guy that has a lot of position flex, but on the left side of the line for Northwestern, this guy was as good of an offensive tackle as there was in college football. I feel like this guy's an outstanding athlete, a guy that is really strong, has outstanding balance and body control. And then when you think about just the way he plays the game, understands angles, understands the front structures that he's playing against, and you can just see that this guy really can process, and then he has the physicality to play the position at a high level. So all those things, comes from an outstanding family. So he's got the makeup, has the critical factors, and then he plays a premium position, which is left tackle. So we're really, really excited about him.
Now, both of you guys have expressed that you wanted players that can play the position, and specified that wasn't a left guard or left tackle that you're looking for, right tackle that you're looking for. You want just wanted tackles, somebody who can play the position. With the flexibility that he has, having played even guard before, does that give you the? Do you think in the back of your head, hey, this guy can play either position, either inside or outside, left or right? Does that flexibility weigh in your drafting process?
I think it kind of just put a feather in his cap, just the versatility. But we certainly see him as a tackle. That's why we drafted him to play outside. We feel like he's a natural out there. We feel like he's got rare athleticism to kick to these wide rushers. I think that, athletically in his feet, he had an outstanding pro day. After being off a year, you're wondering what's he going to look like. Just had an outstanding workout, and then he had the film to match it. I mean, this guy started, well over 30 games in his career and produced against a lot of quality players. And so, just really pleased with this pick. And I know that our goal going into this offseason was to become a line of scrimmage team, to become a bigger team, a more athletic team, and certainly I think we achieved that tonight.
And lastly, for me, you mentioned that he sat out last year. What gave you the confidence that him sitting out was not going to put him behind the eight ball, if you will, have him lagging back a year, and that he was a good guy on your team and ready to perform and play, even though he did sit out a year?
Yeah, I think you just saw over 30 starts. I mean, you got to see him from his freshman year to his junior year, and then when he came to the workout, this guy was ready to play. He looked great, and so we feel like he's only going to get better. And so just felt like the quality of competition, the quality of his play, his production, and then all those position specifics that we look for and the way he tested, just feel like he's just a great fit for what we're trying to build here up front.
Thanks, Coach. Congratulations.
Thank you, Cam.
Fernando.
Uh, Brandon, when we were talking to Tom, he said that right around when you guys got to when they got to the eighth pick and Rashaan was still there and he passed them, that he was optimistic that Rashaan could possibly fall to you guys. Did you share that same optimism? Did you feel good about that when Rashaan kind of started falling a little bit?
We felt like there was a better chance for certain, Fernando. Just felt like there was a better chance. We kind of felt like, like Dallas, there was still maybe a chance there that something could happen, maybe somebody trying to trade up. But once he got past 8, we felt like that, this was a real possibility.
What excites you the most about Rashawn Slater joining your offensive line?
I think, number one thing that we want to be able to do is protect the passer, but then the way we want to run the ball too. I think he's an outstanding fit for the way we want to run the ball because he's so athletic. This guy has production in the pass game, one-on-one pass protection. Then he's got a lot of production in the run game, both as an individual, blocking a guy one-on-one and then working in combination, really creating movement, being able to get to that second level, being able to get out in the perimeter, right, on any type of perimeter screen plays, any of those loose space plays. Just feel like he's a complete player that way, and he's really strong. I mean, 33 reps on the bench. He's got a strong lower body. And then you guys are aware of his, 33-inch vertical jump, 4.88, 40, at well over 300 pounds. So just feel like this guy's a complete player. Feel like his best ball's ahead of him. And we're just really excited about his makeup and then his production and then the physical traits and critical factors that we're looking for.
Thank you, Brandon. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Fernando.
Dennis. Coach Staley, how are you?
Good, Dennis. How about you?
I'm doing great, sir. In regards to the Big Ten, how much did playing in the Big Ten and the physicality of the Big Ten help Rashaan and his play as he prepped for the NFL?
I just think you were able to see him against rushers that you're going to face here in the NFL. You got to see him against guys that you're going to be competing against, whether it was Chase Young and Epineza from Iowa, just to name a few. But I mean, going through that type of schedule and then playing in the bowl games that they were able to play in, you saw a player that you got a pretty pure evaluation on him. And then when he came and showed up at his workout, he was just in outstanding shape. You could tell that he had really been working at his game, working on his body, and I think you just put all that into one evaluation, just all his games that he played for 3 years, the workout, and then what about his makeup and the program that he's coming from, and just really felt like he was a great fit for what we're trying to build here with the Chargers.
Yeah, I know he talked about his versatility. Would you say his strength, what would be his strength, more power or more finesse?
I think he's got a really nice combination, Dennis. I think, he's really athletic. I mean, you're not going to find too many tackles that run 4.88 that have that type of movement. And I'll tell you, when you watch him run, I mean, this guy's moving. This guy's out and running. He can kick to these rushers. When you have to block the guys that we have to be able to block on the edge in this league, he can get back there, and then he's strong enough to anchor. And that's hard for any tackle, is sometimes to deal with the power element. As much as the speed is such a real thing, the power is just as critical. So you got to have that ability to anchor too, and then you got to have the smarts. You're working with 4 other guys up front, and then 5, 6, or 7 with your running backs, your tight ends, and even your receivers sometimes. So there's a lot of moving parts on a pro offensive play. So the fact that he's got the smarts too, and comes from a great family and has that toughness, that competitive character, like I said, we're so happy to have him.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Bob. Brandon.
Hey, Daniel.
You mentioned earlier that it was important to you to get better on the line of scrimmage and become more of a line of scrimmage oriented team. You've overhauled the offensive line pretty significantly between free agency and then now taking Rashaan in the first round. Just how encouraged are you with the improvements that you guys have made on the offensive line?
Daniel, very encouraged. It was our number one goal in free agency and going into the draft, just, not just specific to offensive line, but just our entire team. We wanted to be more of a line of scrimmage team. When we walk out there to play these teams, I want to feel good about who's out there. I want to know that, hey, these are a bunch of real guys that are blocking for us, that are really setting the tempo for our offense, not only for Justin, but for all of our players, all of our skill players. So I feel like the teams that play at the end of the year are the teams that have lines of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. They can stand the test of time. And we feel like what we've done over the last several months is make that a real possibility. And I think that Rashawn's going to fit in really well with the guys that we have.
You mentioned how much respect you have for Pat Fitzgerald's program. You have obviously hired somebody from his program as your special assistant. How much did that relationship factor into your interest in Rashaan in terms of background information and all of that kind of stuff?
I think it just added an extra component to it, Daniel. I mean, I think our area scouts do such a fantastic job. Kevin Kelly, our college scouting director, JoJo Wooten, our director of player personnel, they just wrap such a tight evaluation for you, so thorough, so detailed. And then, when you have a guy like Cody Shada, who's been in that program for over a decade, seen a lot of players come through there, just to have his insight, that intimate knowledge of who Rashaan is on a day-to-day basis, the type of person, the type of competitor, the type of leader that he is, it just gives you an extra feather in the cap in the evaluation process. But, just really proud of the way that we, eval'd this guy, because we felt like we were getting a really clean player and a player that we had a lot of conviction on.
When we talked to you before the draft, you specifically mentioned the length of edge rushers in the NFL. If there was a knock on Rashaan, it was that he didn't really have the arm length. Was that a part of the evaluation that concerned you at all? And what about his game allowed you to sort of overcome that particular knock against him?
Yeah, I think, Joe Thomas had a really awesome NFL Network sort of segment on that, because, I think Joe was rated at 33.5 or something like that. And he was talking about how many times do you block a guy with your arms fully extended? It doesn't happen very often. So I think what we try to factor into the equation was just his athleticism. Daniel, I think, mitigates a lot of that, lack of whatever the ideal length, that people would prefer, 34.5, whatever that length is, his athleticism and then his strength. This guy's a very strong, heavy-handed guy who takes great angles, a guy that, so much of pass protection is being able to set with great angles and understanding your protection plan and who you're playing with. And I feel like Rashaan's got all those things that really make him an excellent pass protector one-on-one, and we're really excited about him.
Last one for me. Without getting too in the weeds here, you talked about his athleticism, particularly in regards to the run game that you're trying to implement. Does that mean that you guys are going to do a lot of outside zone? Obviously, you talked about implementing stuff from Kyle Shanahan's offense. Is that going to be a big part of what you guys are trying to do in the running game?
I think that what we're really trying to do is force people to defend horizontally, and get these guys to run. It's hard to run at these defenses consistently, that have big fronts. I think that is a tough task in the NFL. So we want to have the athleticism up front to be able to get these guys having to run on the other side of the football, and then be able to use guys like Rashaan in the screen game as well, because I think that's a big part of how you want to play nowadays is, getting the ball to your playmakers in space, and just feel like he is the total package that way. Can give us the athleticism in the run game, some of the perimeter screen game, and then obviously the number one priority being one-on-one pass protection. So just feel like he fits really nicely, and like I said, just really thrilled that we were able to pick him.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Joe.
Brandon, obviously one game doesn't make a career, but how much did that 2019 game against Chase Young really bring him to the forefront and show what he could do?
Yeah, I think anytime you're studying a player, you want to see him playing against premium players. I think that it's not exclusive to his matchup versus Chase. It's all the players that we're evaluating, but certainly when he's in a premium matchup like that, what did he look like? How did he play? How did he compete? And certainly Chase is held in high regard, rightfully so. And I felt like, Rashawn Slater played like a first-round pick against him. You're going to have, when you play against high-level players like that, you're gonna win some, you're gonna lose some. But how do you compete for 4 quarters? And I think Rashaan certainly, competed well in that game, and against a lot of other good players on that defense too. There were a lot of other highly drafted players on that team that he was blocking, and just felt like that was a pretty thorough way to eval him just within that game alone. But then, going through that whole schedule, and then, going back, 3 years worth of work, we were able to get a pretty clear picture on him. And again, really excited about his body of work.
Did you also feel good maybe when Sewell didn't go at 5 to Cincinnati, that maybe the chances of getting Slater were going to start to improve then, and really got high after 8?
Yeah, I think that we weren't really surprised about how the top 10 went in terms of the positions that went. I think there were, I felt like we felt that rhythm of that sequencing was certainly going to express itself that way. And I felt like maybe the only component was was Rashaan going to go in the top 10? I think that was probably the only question mark, was like, would he? We felt like he was worthy of that selection, and so would he make it past there? And so a lot of that had to do with the quarterbacks, and who was going to try to come up, were there going to be 4 quarterbacks taken that early? And when that didn't happen, we were certainly glad to take him at 13.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Rashaan Haylock.
Hey, Coach.
How you doing, Rashaan?
Doing all right. How at 12? How nervous were you at 12 when the Cowboys were at the clock? That Rashaan may actually be their pick.
I think that we felt very comfortable with where we were. We felt like we knew who was behind us and we knew who was ahead of us, and we felt like, regardless of how it went down, that we were going to be able to select a really good player. I think that when they decided to go with Micah, I think that our draft room was excited, because we just had unanimous feel for Rashaan, and felt like certainly the position he plays, a premium position in this league, guys. Being able to get a guy at a premium position that had his type of production and his physical traits, critical factors, just felt like, man, that's an awesome pick for the Chargers, and just really excited that it happened that way.
His father played professional basketball. In your coaching, what have you noticed about athletes who have parents that play professionally, whether either sport, and how much does that factor into your eval?
Yeah, I think bloodlines are important. I think that anytime you've been shaped by the game, I think that that's always a positive. And certainly, father being such a big influence in his life, I just think that you can't help but factor that into your equation. And his father's a big man too, if you saw that draft video. So I think that you put all that together, and then you take just Rashaan, who he is as a person, and then factor the bloodlines in. It's just, it makes the eval even easier.
Rashaan used the word technician a lot tonight.
Mm-hmm.
What did you see from that on his film, and how that relates to you?
I think normally, sometimes you'll hear the word raw, or, hey, like this guy, he's going to get a lot better at the next level. Like maybe he doesn't have that polish or whatever. And I just feel like Rashaan, very well schooled at Northwestern, but you can just see a guy that really understands how to play, a guy that has his own style. I think that that's something that I really like, is that he has his own style of play that he's created, that works for him, that takes advantage of his gifts, and just feel like he's going to get a lot better too. I feel like he's still a young guy, and feel like there's so much in front of him. As an NFL offensive lineman coming to the NFL, there's such a big transition, but feel like he's just got all the right stuff, the makeup, and the body, all that physical stuff put into one that he's going to be able to get a lot better very quickly. And really looking forward to Frank Smith and Sean Surratt being able to coach this guy, and Rashaan being able to partner up with a really good group of guys here on our team that are going to push him as well.
Thank you, Coach. Congrats.
Thank you.
All right, Coach, last one for you. Jeff Miller, go ahead.
Brandon, Rashaan told us somebody asked about his intensity, and he said he knows how to flip that switch and become that intense individual. Have you seen that, and what does that mean in terms of on the field?
Yeah, I think that one of the things that we were really attracted to in the process is he's an intense competitor. He's got a play style that you're attracted to. This guy really competes to the end of the down and competes for 4 quarters, and I think that shows up. And really, that's when I talk about being a line of scrimmage team. You want to be an all-the-time line of scrimmage team. You don't want to have this pick and choose when you're a line of scrimmage team. So he's one of those really intense competitors where the game means a lot to him. He works at his craft a lot from a position skill standpoint in the weight room, big weight room guy, and just, studying a lot of the tape and just being a gym rat. So, I think that you're seeing a player that has the right stuff to play one of the tough positions in sports, and I think that competitive nature is something that we were really attracted to.
And Brandon, you said one of the things you like about him, he has his own style. That's something you might hear about a wide receiver or running back. I mean, what does that mean for an offensive lineman to have his own style, and why would that be attractive?
Yeah, I just think, this guy, because of his athleticism, because of his strength, this guy's able to, take, different set angles, being able to do a lot of things that most offensive linemen aren't able to do because he's so athletic, he's so strong, and then he's got the brain to make it all work. So there's a lot of variety in how he plays, which for young players isn't that common, and so I think that that's a great sign that he's already ahead of the game, and then there's going to be even a bigger transition coming to this level. So just think that he's got awesome makeup, and certainly excited to start working with him.